So here's the demo. If you take this config file and you run this command, which runs Blender on that config file using the PKVid package, enter, it's going to take this little video. It's going to concatenate into two videos, twice, one after the other, and you can get the result here. This is the MVP of PKVid that I'm working on the PageKey GitLab, so you can go check that out. Here's the merge request, and we can look at the original issue to see what I was aiming for. I wanted PKVid as a CLI command, wanted to be able to pass a file name and have it parse JSON and YAML, and I wanted to be able to add a list of video objects and have them rendered sequentially, concatenated. So this was my example config file, and then you just saw the end result. Turns out there's a bpy package on PyPy, and you can use that to invoke Blender programmatically without even having Blender installed, really. The problem is, this is really an ideal solution, but the problem is this does not come with audio support, and the only way to get it is to build it from source yourself. So build bpy yourself from source. So I got into that a little bit, and I'm not sure what I was doing wrong, but it turned out to be pretty darn complicated to compile from scratch. At first I was just doing it on my laptop, then I ended up doing it on Docker, and I was still getting issues with the build. There is a multi-gig header files repo that you're supposed to clone down. I did that on my laptop. I did not do it in here because it didn't, I don't know, whatever. But this never worked out for me. So what was the actual solution? Well, I actually added an installation guide in this merge request. It's a little bit of a messy solution, but it does work. So basically what you're going to do is you figure out where your Blender Python is located on your system. There's an embedded Python with Blender, and you can just use that Python like a regular Python. If you do ensure pip and then upgrade pip, then you have pip working with that Python, no problem. So it was easier than expected. Then you can just install this PKVid package. It's not on PyPy yet, but someday hopefully it will be. Or you can just install -e dot, and then you're good to go. This works running from the source code because pkvid/main.py is, in the same directory. Gonna have to figure out how to run this a little bit more conveniently because this is a lot of typing, all this right here. But maybe you can make it as an alias or something. Another thought is maybe people just need to write their own .py files and then just run it with Blender. And in that .py file, they can use PKVid to do whatever they need to do. Either way, this is really a step pretty far in the right direction as far as I'm concerned, because I just wanted something where you can edit a config file like this without opening any fancy editors or anything. It's just clearly written what's going on in the video, and then you run the render script, and then you end up with a file with exactly what you were expecting. I've attempted this before with moviepy and had some success, but it was really, really slow. Blender somehow is rendering everything really quickly. So I think this is actually something that could be feasible for larger projects. For some reason, doing moviepy, it's really, really slow. I don't know how Blender does it differently, but it is quick. So I really like this method. I want to keep expanding on it and see how far I can get. I wrote up a few follow-on issues after the MVP here that I just showed you. I'd like to be able to compose projects, so have one inside the other, and then have it render out to MP4s along the way, and then combine them all. Auto captioning is on the list, and auto editing silences would be huge because it takes up a lot of time editing to edit out the silences. That's one of the main things that I spend time doing when editing. And we can just zoom through the code real quick. There's just the main method, and then blender.py has all of the bpy operations. So this will look familiar from the last few videos. I just copied in our render video, our add audio. The CLI just parses the config file and then renders the project from the config. The config.py just has all the methods required to parse a pydantic config into from a file, and then project.py has all of these pydantic base model classes, and then project accepts a config and then renders by adding video for each of these, computing the max frame, all that stuff, and that's it. So basically this render method could get a lot fancier, but it's so easy to do this. I'm really happy with the Blender API here. Sample config and then a bunch of unit tests, no big deal. and then this Docker file that I already showed. So yeah, that's that. I'm gonna merge this in just a moment, but figured I'd check in on this and show the MVP so far. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching.